Alright, before we get into the video, I just wanted to say two quick things. First off, I want to thank everybody for all the support I've gotten on my videos. It's really blown me away how my videos have been doing. It means a lot, it really does. I know everybody says that, but to see all the support I've gotten, all the comments, all the likes, it feels great, and it shows the community that we have here, both at PWHL Ottawa and Ottawa sports in general, and the PWHL as a whole. It's honestly great, and I'm so happy to see the league flourishing, to see women's hockey flourishing, and to see so many people connecting with me and reaching out to me. It means a lot. So first off, I want to say thank you for that, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because it honestly means the world. And second, before we get into the PWHL video, I'm just going to do a quick tidbit about the Ottawa Senators. This is your local Ottawa fan, so I feel like this is one of the rare times where, I'm going to talk about the Sens. Bring back Danger Flutes. Okay? We have to. I was at the game against Anaheim, and Hell's Bells, it's a good song. I'm an AC/DC fan. I like AC/DC. But Danger Flutes is the Sens theme song. I don't know why it was removed, but for whatever reason, bring it back. If it was a management decision or an ownership decision, bring it back. Like, as a fan, and I can tell you this is how most fans feel, this is iconic. We love this song. This is what makes the Sens the Sens. And if it isn't that, if it's, an ownership thing, if it's rights, pay. I don't care how much it is to own the song. They could be asking more than our entire team combined buy the rights to this song. It is jarring going to a game and not hearing Danger Flutes when the Sens are introduced. It feels wrong. So please, Ottawa Senators management, Ottawa Senators ownership, on behalf of Sens fans, please bring Danger Flutes back. It feels wrong. It feels like if we just completely changed our name almost. It's so tied with the iconography of the team. So please bring back Danger Flutes. Anyways, here's the actual video. What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan. I'm here to talk about the 2-1 regulation loss to Minnesota. Another loss. I feel like it's the same story. We have a good game, we have chances, offense isn't there, we end up losing. The first period starts out, lots of skill on both teams, and nobody could really get set. It was, very rare at the start of the first for either team to have sustained pressure. And, it was, as much as this was a hockey game, of course it was also a chess match. You could tell that, one mistake could cost you dearly, and you needed to be perfect. If you wanted to score, things needed to go perfect. And we get very lucky in that sense, because immediately, very early on in the first, Amanda Boulier rips one. You could not ask for a better, cleaner shot. 1-0 Ottawa right out of the gate. And this doesn't change too much in terms of the pace of the game, which I find is rare for Ottawa. Oftentimes, after a goal, for or against them, it really heats things up. And that's not to say that Ottawa didn't bring it after they scored. It's that Minnesota did too. It's that both teams were so good after this goal. So many block shots, so many chances that were broken up by the defense. In the first period, Maschmeyer made a few big saves, but honestly, the defense did a really good job of making her job pretty easy. And that was why it was very good to have the lead after the first period, because it felt like this was going to be a game where it was going to be hard to score. This was not going to be like a 5-4 game. This was not going to be a 4-3 game. You could tell early on that this was going to be a low-scoring game. Very high defensive game. That's not to say that there wasn't action, though. The action was end-to-end. Both teams got chances, and both teams played really well. The first period is honestly the perfect example of a good hockey period. If you want to introduce somebody to the sport of hockey, honestly, show them that first period. Show them this entire game. Because as an Ottawa fan, this game really stings. This game really kind of pisses me off. As a fan of hockey, though, this was amazing. If you like the sport of hockey, if you don't cheer for either of Ottawa or Minnesota, this was just a great game. This was just a fun game to watch. And we did very good of holding them off. They did not get their first shot until 9 minutes into the game. That is how well we held them off. It took them 9 minutes just to get a shot on goal. And with that, we'd step into the second period. They did start to find their footing. They almost scored actually at the end of the first, Minnesota. And it was a mix of both a great defensive play and then not seeing the open net and Minnesota going for the pass instead. So you could tell that heading into the second that Minnesota was starting to heat things up a little bit. And you could tell that, you got to be smart. The worst thing that we could do is make some sort of stupid mistake. We had back and forth. We had a shot sprawling save that and all the credit to Minnesota's goaltender. So we go into the second period, and like I said, all we need to do is not do anything dumb. Minnesota gives us immediate pressure in the second period. Take a penalty, and it does not take long. It does not take long for that to be the moment where we let them into the game, where we flinched, we blinked first, they scored, and now it's a 1-1 game. It's off of a rebound, and Abby Boreen scores the goal to tie the game. Again, Ottawa with a bit of a burst of energy after getting scored on, but this is a game where mistakes like that can't happen. And it's not even to say that it was a bad penalty. I mean, I don't think that it's a penalty that should have been taken, but this really was a highlight of how dangerous it was in this game to make even the smallest mistake. You give either of these teams an inch, they would take a mile. You could feel that you needed to be perfect to score a goal, that if you made one mistake, that could be enough to cause calamity. Both defenses, like I said, they did an excellent job at giving their goaltenders an easy game. Not to say that it was easy. Mashmeyer made a bunch of huge saves, especially in the second period. She really stood on her head, and Minnesota as well. They both played very good games in terms of goaltending, but there weren't a lot of shots. There were a lot of blocks. Both defenses did a very good job of keeping this a game where you didn't get too many chances, but when you got a chance, you could bet it was going to be a good one. And, midway through the second, Minnesota got a great chance. Right in front of the net, point blank, Minnesota takes a shot. Mashmeyer comes up huge. And another giveaway. Chance to give Minnesota the lead. Mashmeyer puts it wide. She played great. But those giveaways were rare. And it was those exact kind of plays that you had to look out for. Those were the types of things that could have, that could cost you the game. Where, it felt like everything was going to be under a microscope for this entire game. And even though it was fairly even at the end of the second, both teams were playing fairly well, it started to feel like Minnesota was gaining momentum. And that was so pivotal in this game. And fast pace to start the third. Both teams had very good scoring chances. Mashmeyer had to come up huge twice. And then Maddie Flaherty with a missile. No one's saving that. It was a beautiful one-timer. There was nothing to be done. 2-1 Minnesota. And again, a bit of burst of energy from Ottawa. And this is, I think, the moment that caused the heartbreak. We got a power play. We had a good power play. There was a scramble in front of the net. No one was really there for Minnesota. We had a great chance at a gaping net, and no one could bury it. There were still 9 minutes left in the game when the power play, and 9 or 11 minutes. It was one of the two. But there was still about half a period left when that power play ended. But it felt like that was the end of the game. We had that opportunity. Minnesota finally made a big mistake. They gave us 2 minutes. We have the deadliest power play in the league. Now, we didn't score once. We did not score once. When we needed it the most, our offense wasn't there. We only allowed 2 goals. It's really good. In this league, holding your opponents to 2 goals should give you a win. It should. And tonight it didn't. And it's one of those things where you just got to wonder, like, how often are we going to get the same story? The same situation of, I mean, I can't be mad at how the team played. They played a good game. Objectively, they played well. And it feels like a game where, like, they would win half the time. But we have so many losses where that is how you feel at the end of the game. 4 overtime losses, 2 regulation losses, 2 wins. We've played 8 games. We've won 2. We should have at least 4. We should have at least 4 wins. We have 2. And that's where it's just like, what can even be done at this point? Because it's not like the team is playing poorly. It's not like they aren't playing well. But in those clutch moments where you need a goal, we don't get them. You know, that power play was the clutch moment where Minnesota was finally on their heels, where we were starting to gain momentum. For the rest of the third period, we had a bit of a good push. We put the pressure on for the rest of the game, but we didn't score. Like, we didn't score. So I don't know what to say to that. It feels like every game it's kind of that same situation of, you know, especially when I think every game but one we've had a lead. I think every single game except for one, we have had a lead at some point in that game. And we have 2 wins. I cannot stress that enough. It's not that they're a bad team. They aren't. They're a very good team. They're a very talented team. Defensively, they're good. Offensively, they are decent. Goaltending, I mean, what more can be said about the Ottawa? Maschmeyer has been amazing all season. But it's finding that clutch gene. And I think this especially stings because our last game, we had a 3-0 lead. 6 minutes left in the period. The third period. And we lose in overtime. And then we have like a week off. You would think that this should light something under us where we'd be like, we're winning no matter what, no matter who we're facing. And it's the same story. It's the same exact situation. We play well. We face a team that, you know, we're pretty evenly matched with. But they just barely beat us in the end. You know, when's it our turn? We still are yet to beat any team not named Toronto. That's the only team we've beaten all season. Toronto. That's it. And it's like, when are we finally going to get our turn? I mean, this game, I think, is a perfect example. We were shot for shot, blow for blow with Minnesota. We were, like, even with Minnesota throughout a majority of the game. They're at the top of the standings. We are at the bottom. And I almost wish they were bad. I almost wish that I could just point to something and be like, well, it's because of this or it's because of that. Well, this is what to blame and this is what needs to be done. And it's just like, we don't have the clutch gene. We don't get the big goal in the big moment when we need it. But the team is composed well. The players play well. Every game is close. We have lost every single game by 1 goal. We are yet to lose by more than 1 goal. This game we pulled our goaltender and they did not get an empty netter. But at some point we got to win. And part of you wonders if this is just that statistical variance, and as the season goes on, you know, those wins will come. We've just gotten a lot of close losses. We're going to get a lot of close wins and we'll even out. And I hope that's the case. But you really got to hope that you see some change soon. Because this is heartbreaking. And as always, go Ottawa, go.